Hey guys, the most wonderful time of the week is here again. Another Nerdiacs podcast episode. We're actually being graced this time by Ryan's house. He's letting us hang out here.
Yep. Ryan from Ryan's Comics, not at the comic shop, but at the Ryan's Castle.
This is the part when he gives out his home address, so you guys can come stop by, right?
I'll put it on like my Facebook check-in. To have his address and everything. Hey Nerdiacs, this is Adrian. Welcome.
AKA Daredevil. That's going to be his nickname today.
Daredevil?
Daredevil? You know what wears Daredevil shoes?
But I'm wearing Wolverine today.
Okay, Wolverine. Is your AKA
Wolverine, obviously.
Yeah.
First issue on his chest.
And this is me, Theo. We're about to dive in here into the good and the bad and the ugly.
If you guys want to know, my address is 1600 Pennsylvania Way. So
that's the White House.
That's the only lie that Ryan will tell us.
Yeah.
Hey guys, well, anybody want to kick us off with our good in particular?
I'll start off. All right. This week, my good was Walking Dead Everything. I'm going to start with the mid-season premiere. A lot of people were probably complaining because there was no Daryl in it, and it just kind of really focused on 3 characters. But those 3 characters happen to be pretty key characters to the whole Walking Dead mythos. It's Rick, Carl, and Michonne, real key characters, and in particularly Carl. I'm really impressed with Chandler Riggs' growth as the character. I mean, if you guys have watched this series from the beginning like I have, if you really look at how his acting ability has progressed from his first season where he was just basically like a little boy, literally, to where he is now, it has to be respected. This particular episode was taken directly, almost panel for panel, from a comic book, other than, slight variations of Herschel dying. Vice, in the book, it was another character, which I let you guys read the book. You guys can pick up the graphic novels. But I thought it was a very decent episode for opener. I think it'll progress now that they don't have the prison as a shelter anymore, and they're basically on the road again, and they're all separated. So yeah, I think it's gonna be pretty intense for the rest of the season.
do you like it in the comics when they're kind of just roaming around, or do you like it when they kind of have a place like in the prison where they can sit, make plant vegetables, and live the good life?
What I like about both of them, right, is that, like, I'm going to say, when I said Walking Dead Everything, I'm going to go into Walking Dead, the comic is in all-out war now. And there's a whole new nemesis in this character named Negan and his band of...
yeah, we've talked about him before.
Yeah. And basically, the contrast from the show to the television is probably about 3 years since... where the comic book is to where the prison was. So right now they were living in a place where it was an old community that was just destroyed by Negan and his mercenaries. So now the war has intensified, and it's a really good read if you're reading Walking Dead comic right now.
So what's better right now, the show or the comic?
The comic by far is always better to me because Kirkman is raw in the comic.
But Kirkman writes the show.
Yeah, but he also has to write the show with the regulations of, television and everything like that.
And that's what you already know where the show is going to go.
And that's where you know where the show is going to go. But in the comic, it's totally raw. Like, it's cussing and sexual and... yeah, it's hardcore.
Yeah.
So that was my good, and I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I think America agree. I think it got like 15.4 million viewers.
It's dominating, dude.
Second most watched episode.
8.8 out of 10 on IMDb.
I mean, clearly The Walking Dead can literally continue, especially when the comic book is going this good as well. Yeah. It can literally continue probably as long as they wanted to, and at this point.
And as a collector, dude, like, I'm literally looking for raw copies of the book now because they're so marketable, and you can make so much money. Ryan picked up one, a copy of number 1 and 2 about 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, I have
9.8.
I have a 9.8 and a couple of raw copies myself, but also AMC just picked up Preacher.
Wow.
Yeah,
Written by
and
Seth
it's
Rogen.
Written by Seth Rogen, and
Really, that's interesting.
it is
Seth
interesting.
Rogen,
So
He's a good writer.
Yeah,
he is.
yeah.
He is an interesting.
The other day saw that World's End and was like, maybe he can do some stuff with what
Which is actually getting a sequel.
Well, now I want
this
to,
year.
but now as a collector,
$100 million.
As a collector
$100
now, I want to
million.
go find some Preacher number 1, so some raw copies, because there aren't very many.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, yeah.
So if it's a hit,
If you want to look for a new Chaser comic, would definitely be Preacher. I think.
yeah,
Walking Dead went from 100 to 7,000-8,000. So
yeah, exactly. Some money industry, and it's a good commodity, dude. Comic book collecting is a good
Sandman's
blue chip
about to be a
commodity.
movie too, so those Sandman issues might go up as well. Yeah.
That was my good.
Well, my good is also on a TV show, be it one that hasn't even begun filming, much less finishing their casting yet. But I really like where their casting decisions are going. My good is the Gotham PD TV series. We've talked about this before. This is the show that's going to be based on a pre-Batman Gotham City, which it seems it's going to follow 50% of Bruce Wayne and Alfred's relationship growing up, and also a young Gordon, before he's commissioner and stuff like that. More and more additions to the cast are being announced. They just said Ben McKenzie as Gordon. He plays, I believe, in Southland. I know him mostly from the OC. Show I used to watch back in the day. The Penguin will be played by Robin Lord Taylor from The Walking Dead. Alfred's going to be played by Sean Pertwee. Hope I pronounced his name right. Gordon's chief will be played by Sabrina Rivera, who's on Burn Notice, and they've also cast Gordon's fiance as Erin Richards. So it looks like it's going to be focusing on more of a, they're creating more of a military Alfred, it seems like, one who's more protective of Bruce. But maybe, I don't know if they're planning on going in this direction, but maybe like someone who can motivate Bruce to be that change.
Like a trainer.
Like a trainer type thing like that. A lot like Batman, Beware the Bat.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that in Beware the Batman, that's where they were kind of going with Alfred. And even in the comics, they kind of allude to Alfred having some sort of military training, but never explored how in depth he was.
I would imagine being like some he was like the cook or something, Like, he was there, but he wasn't really doing much, He probably saw some stuff. Well, maybe saved somebody one good time, but I feel like he was a hero.
Now, is this a WB?
No, this is Fox. This show's gonna be airing on Fox. Yeah.
Here we go.
So
don't start Prophet Alpha on Fox.
Well, this is Fox TV's network, so you don't have to worry about
DC doing that. How was DC Warner?
I don't know. I'm not. I guess it's just how they worked out the rights, the licensing. I'm not certain, but I've actually never heard of this on CW. But it could also be because CW is going to be now adding the Flash spinoff that we've talked about. So maybe they want to be sure that these characters are not in the same universe,
So it isn't the same type of universe as Arrow and the Flash.
I don't believe so.
It's a totally different spin.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Which means it probably won't have to do with the Justice League stuff either. So
it'll probably be a little bit more intense too because Fox
is a bit more gritty than the CW.
I'm watching The Following right now, and The Following is intense. Not to distract, but I'm just saying Fox does do a lot of good nighttime programming. Yeah. So now I'm a little bit more interested.
Well, they clearly cater. I love shows on CW, but CW definitely's money is teens. Yeah. And Fox, Fox is definitely like adults, like that 18 to 18 to 35 type audience and stuff. So that's my good. Gotham PD, Keep on listening. We're posting, I believe I posted this on the Nerdiacs Facebook page, which, by the way, you should check out. Search for the Nerdiacs.
It is up. I try to post on it and put
we're all throwing
little nerdy
stuff
on there. And everybody should, if you have questions about things, or if you guys want to know some information or share your experiences, you guys can share it on the Nerdiac Facebook page.
So moving on to my good, Theo talked about this a little bit about last week, was Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel came out with a new comic. Mm-hmm. It is based on a brand new character. She is Muslim, the first Muslim superhero. It's pretty interesting because a lot of times when publishers do this stuff, it's pretty gimmicky and and I think we touched on it a little bit last week, and then I finally got to read it. And I'm really excited about it because the backstory was actually really good, and it actually got me like really intrigued in it. And
that's impressive.
I think
intrigued in it.
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of Spider-Man elements in it. Maybe that's why she was the down and out, in New York, the whole thing, and she already kind of looked up to Miss Marvel, and she looked up to the old school Miss Marvel. So it's kind of like, so do I. Like I'm a fan of Miss Marvel. I'm a fan of She-Hulk, Miss Marvel. Those are my two favorite female superheroes. I think She-Hulk's in my top 5 superheroes. Period.
She-Hulk, yeah.
She-Hulk is.
She's nice.
She's really nice. Yeah. So Miss Marvel, though, she's up there. She's a really good hero, and I like that they've been doing a lot with her lately. So to see another person come into it, so we're gonna have Captain Marvel and we're gonna have Miss Marvel now.
That's cool.
So you're gonna have 2 variations of somebody with pretty much the same powers. So the origin story, I give 2 thumbs up. The writing was 2 thumbs up. The art was 2 thumbs up.
Who's the writer?
I don't know. I didn't check on that actually,
Give
but
me a shout out.
Yeah, I know.
Man, well, that's good. I mean, that is not gimmicky.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's good.
That's good because, DC, I feel like they do it sometimes where they'll just like, oh, there's something popular in pop culture, we have to throw it in somehow,
Mm-hmm.
Marvel does it sometimes, but I think it's more or less when they're plugging in their own stuff, if there's a Muppets movie coming out, someone will be wearing a Muppets t-shirt in the comic book,
Mm-hmm.
So I think Marvel does it, on that level, but I think DC, they'll just try to make it like, oh, there's gay, the gay thing is really big right now as far as, the political rights and all that stuff, and DC's just like, oh, we're going to make gay characters now, boom, and just make a couple gay characters, and it doesn't really fit the story, you know what I mean?
Marvel as a whole seems to be just a little bit more in touch with the mainstream as far as translating it into the comics. As far as a reader, for me, like, you could read like a series like Miss Marvel, or even one of their core titles, and they'll have a down to earth story in it, in a lot of background story. Where in a lot of DC, it is primarily action, but there's nothing wrong with anything.
Sure.
Yeah, but
just two different.
It's just 2 different takes, and that's cool. I'm interested in that now. That's cool. So,
why don't we jump back into? This is when the show takes a dark turn, isn't it? Which are bad, man.
Bad. See, man, you guys.
Hold on. G. Willow Wilson is the writer, and illustrated by Adrian Alfona.
So and that's definitely a good now.
You know what? Why don't you just go on with your band, man?
Why you hate
I'm watching your head swell up just because you shared the same first name as his.
No, that's cool. I really didn't have a bad, and I'm going to cheat a little bit because I'm going to kind of go with a good and then like another good, because this was a personal good for me. So
the funny part is he says, "Can I do this beforehand?" And then we say no, and he doesn't.
we shot it down.
Hey,
it was a quorum.
Listen.
We shot it down.
Normally, like, I have like a printout and everything ready prior to this thing. Today was the first time that I've actually came like bullet format with nothing. Now we've all done it before, but this is the first.
I think shotgun. You mean?
Yeah, shotgun.
Bullet format.
Yeah. So I'm going off the top of my head, but my second good, and I think it's bad for me because I got my Comic-Con 2014 tickets.
Well, it's Theo's bad then.
Well, it's Theo's bad. See, so listen, Comic-Con just this past weekend announced they give you like a 3-day heads up to let you know, hey, look, we're gonna do the pre-registration sale. So if you had 2013 tickets, you're eligible to buy tickets. Now, there's a lot of information that they put on the website of who you can buy tickets for and how the process goes to buy it. So look, in preparation for this, I boosted my internet service up to the highest that you could get. And I was making sure that I was clocking 55 download speed, however it works.
Whatever it took.
And then I actually took both my laptops and went Ethernet directly into the router. So I had my laptop and my iMac hooked up. And so right at 7 o'clock exactly, you could enter the waiting room to buy tickets for the sale that started at 9. Now, my girl, she was like, well, the website says that you could enter anywhere between 7 and 9 and it makes no difference. And I was like, look, in my mind, how any internet traffic works, right? If you get in there first, everybody else is piling up in front of you or in back of you, and they're squeezing you, just like imagine like a tube of toothpaste.
Sounds like you're talking about my ex-girlfriend.
Yeah. So the more people that come in after you, they're pushing you closer to the front of the line. That's just the rationale that I took. So I got us both in there, and I looked at the world clock on my iPhone. So as soon as it hit 7, I pressed submit, and within 15 minutes after they sorted out the lines, as soon as they said that the lines was sorted, my screen popped up and I was able to buy tickets within 10 minutes of...
So there wasn't problems like there was in the past?
It was very efficient. Like, I understand that people who didn't get tickets will probably complain, but for me, it was efficient, and I'm probably saying that because I got tickets.
I feel like everyone got the tickets, though.
Because you've heard other people who say they got them, right?
Yeah, other people say they've gotten their tickets already. Everyone that I know that tried to log on and got their tickets.
So that's a good thing, right?
That is a good thing.
So that means that Epic has done a way better improvement.
And they're doing it different this year. They're doing it, selling it day by day this year.
Yeah.
So the Twilight kids won't take up 4-day passes and only go for 1 or 2 days,
But I got through. But the key, the caveat to this whole thing is that if you didn't have 2013 passes, you weren't even eligible to buy tickets for people who didn't have 2013 passes. Now, I've had family members who've went to Comic-Con before and they have membership IDs. So when I'm going through, and then I got through, and then my chick Bird got through, so we could potentially buy up for 6 people. So as soon as we got through, I'm like, all right, I'm going to put mine in, and I'm going to put all 6 in, and then when you go to press execute, it only validates the people who had 2013 tickets. So
which is why it's my bad, because he tried to help me out, and
so now we got to try to get Theo into Comic-Con this year, because Ryan, as a comic book owner, he gets free Comic-Con.
I'm good.
He's good. He never has to worry about it like us Gentiles.
Us peons.
Yeah.
I literally don't think about it until like maybe about 2 weeks ahead of time. And then I'll hit my rep up like, I didn't get my tickets yet. And he's like, you didn't? I'm like, nah. Like, I thought I sent them to you. I'm like, you probably did, but I don't have them anymore. All right, I'll send them to you again. Cool. That's how much I think about it.
See, that's I'm
going to punch him in the face.
So listen.
The greatest part is, I have a friend that lives downtown San Diego, and he just moved even closer to the convention center. So this fool lives like 2 blocks from the convention center, and I get to stay there. And guess how much he charges me? $50. And that's
cool.
Just for dinner for the weekend. He's like $50. They'll cover me for food for the weekend. I'm like, done.
So Ryan, this is like a free meal for him. But like for me, like I have to wait in line this year. But next year we're gonna have some things going to where probably we can get in for free anyway. But it's good when you don't have to worry about it.
And I think of a lot of probably people listening too, you know what I mean? Like, obviously they've heard about Comic-Con already, and maybe half of them or whatever are actually in the same position as you.
Yeah.
And who went last year and noticed that the process was a lot smoother and stuff like that. There's probably,
I thought last year was one of the better years too.
Well,
because the way they had it set up, it was just way more space and like, huh?
For who?
What do you mean?
For the people who went.
For the people that went.
Okay. So
I think more people will be able to get in this year.
Okay.
Because they're selling it for single days. Because a lot of people that just buy the 4-day pass, that's all they can get. And they don't even go on Thursday or Sunday. They only go on Friday and Saturday. So they'll even get the Wednesday pass and not even go on Wednesday.
See, that's the days that I want to go.
So listen, I go because it's a marathon, dog.
Thursday is a great day to go.
Dog, Thursday and Sunday. Sunday is hot.
I don't go Sundays anymore. I've been gone the last 3 years. I've left on Sunday morning.
Sunday's good, dude. Doctor Who Sundays.
I went down on Sunday just to hang out outside. Man, that sounds more pathetic when I say it out loud.
You did go hang out last year.
I'll go down to San Diego. Yeah.
We're gonna get you in, dog. No worries.
I've been dreaming.
Comic-Con is a bucket list for Theo.
Right, we talked about that last week.
And Ryan rubbed it in my face.
And if you love comics or pop culture or movies, superheroes, writers, artists, whatever.
If you don't like crowds though, don't go.
If you're what is that?
Introvert.
No. If you have agoraphobia,
yeah, it's crowded. But a lot of people who are nerds who might suffer from agoraphobia any other time,
they push through it.
They push through it for Comic-Con.
I got sick at Comic-Con a couple times too. They call it that Comic-Con bug.
The Comic-Con crud.
Comic-Con crud.
Yeah,
dude. Like hospital sick.
It's stinky, it's cruddy, and you're out there you're getting very little sleep if you go off. If you go hard like
basketball shorts. You think you'd be cool in jeans? Just roll in basketball shorts. No one's gonna care.
I have an IV bag hooked up to my arm.
So I got a hotel maybe about a mile down, so I pack like water and snacks and because you don't want to eat the Comic-Con food because it's not really good. It'll just
I go to the gas lamp across the street.
Yeah, the gas lamp's already across.
I just want you guys to know, for people who are listening, the Nerdiacs are based in Southern California, literally 47 minutes from San Diego. So you're hearing all these guys talking about, oh yeah, I got to hook up. Don't feel good for these guys. Like they're having to travel and commute a long time here. I just don't want you guys to get that impression.
Funny, we get a hotel and we're only 45 minutes away.
See?
Yeah, exactly.
Don't worry. Theo's going to be commuting and has no problems with that. Theo represents the everyday Nerdiac.
So can I move on to my bad?
Go ahead, man.
So I got to Wolverine #1, not liking it. They took his powers away. His powers of healing. You were talking about that last week.
Yeah.
And, I don't want to handle Wolverine too hard because I know you're Wolverine today. Prophet Alpha. But this freaking Wolverine's just looking at me on his shirt. He's looking at me.
He's looking at me. He's got his claws out.
Yeah.
But this is hardcore Wolverine.
Give me the finger to come hither.
Frank Miller.
Shoot. So the new Wolverine basically lost his powers. He already got his butt kicked once. His face is all scarred up already. I kind of feel like they're making a lot of Old Man Logan references already. When I was reading it, they keep calling him Old Man and stuff like that. They never really said that when he was like always healing and stuff, Mm-hmm. And they're really going on playing on the whole like, oh, now you can really live because you don't know when you're gonna die, and they kind of flash forward into like what it might be like when he gets older and stuff like that. And it was just kind of like, why are they trying so many angles with this character? They keep relaunching the character and they keep coming in a different angle with him, and it's just like, he's just not interesting. Just stop doing it. Like, he could heal. Yes, it's boring. Honestly, like, it's a great power, but it's a really boring power. Cause like, no matter what happens, you're always gonna go back to regular. Like,
I watch Heroes through season 5. Yeah. I know how boring healing can be.
Yeah. At first you're like, oh, this is what I would do with this, and then like they don't do it, like, oh my gosh, a cheerleader. I want to just, man. Yeah. But as far as Wolverine, like now he has an armor suit that's like impenetrable, basically. Yeah. I think he can withstand a nuclear blast.
That's what they said. Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, so you took his powers away, but then you gave him a suit that made him invulnerable, like.
He still got the adamantium bones, and
that was another thing I was confused about because they didn't explain it.
Yeah,
isn't one the
adamantium poison? That's right.
Yeah, that's why. When you go back to the previous Wolverine series, the Killable, the Beast was able to come up with a adamantium poison vaccine.
Oh, okay.
So he can live with the adamantium in his bones. Yeah. And this goes along with how hard it is to write for Wolverine.
Does he pop his claws?
He pops his claws.
Are those his claws?
There's like this machine, like it's like a machine thing on his arms. They didn't really explain it. Like,
I don't think those are his claws. I think those
are another part of it. Like, okay, now we're exploring a whole new aspect of Wolverine, and we're not getting a great explanation on what's going on with him. Like, okay, I see these things on his hands. They're popping claws, but is that from his body or is it? It looks separate. You know what I mean? The way it's designed, it looks separate.
Yeah, it does. And then like, okay, he still has his same drunkard lifestyle. Like, okay, everybody knows.
That's another thing I want to touch on. You know, before he would drink, and that was a kind of a cool thing because he would drink and be drunk for like 2 panels and then be sober again. You know what I mean? And I felt like they should have like really showed him getting drunk and just getting hammered and like just staying drunk, because they've touched on him like touched on his healing factor and him getting drunk and like getting better really fast so many times. I think that would have been really fun for them to play on that. You know what I mean? Or play on like other things about him not having his powers instead of him just getting beat up again. And I don't know, just the suit just.
Suit, I wouldn't feel it either, dude. I really think that you give Wolverine back his healing, right? Make him Wolverine again, and just make him evil. That's the only good thing that you can do. You got to do a Hollywood Hulk Hogan Wolverine, dude. Seriously,
An evil Wolverine would be sick.
It's the only.
But he's not very smart though.
Wolverine is a genius, dude. He is. He's a good leader. Everybody can. He's predictable. He's predictable.
Imagine him trying to teach you something. Hey, bub, this is how we're gonna do it. No,
I just think he would be a much better. He'd be a much better bad guy.
He can't be an English teacher.
I would like to see like all the agents of Apocalypse just come in and be like, everybody that he's touched, he just calls them back. That would be Wolverine, that'd be the Hulk, that'd be the Juggernaut, it'd be Sabretooth, because Apocalypse has made all of them. It'd be Gambit. They've all been
Angel.
They're his horsemen.
Gambit's weak.
Yeah. Well, I'm not really a big Gambit guy either, but Wolverine is very difficult.
So what's your ugly, Adrian?
Well, before we jump ahead, my bad.
Oh, you're bad? Oh, you didn't get to
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, Leo.
Hey, no, it's all right. It's all right. Hey, listen, I know us peons know where we fall on the scale here. My bad is actually some movie news. It looks like Will Smith will not be returning for Independence Day 2. There's no real details out about it. We just know he's not. He said that he's not coming back. It's assuming that he wanted too much money. It's hard for a studio to make money when the principal actors take up so much of the budget up front. You look at Men in Black 3, I'm not sure when the 4th one comes out, but that movie was very successful, but the studio didn't make that much money on it because of Will Smith's contract up front and stuff like that. So it's kind of tough when you have these movie stars that have so much of the budget already that it's time for just the studio to say, okay, let's make a different one. Personally, for me, Will Smith's my favorite actor of all time. I love him and everything, so I'm definitely going to miss him. It won't be the same, but at the same time, we're talking about a new Independence Day movie here. Independence Day is such a great movie. It's got the most patriotic speech known to mankind when the president gives him like that
Bill Pullman?
rousing, Bill Pullman. Arguably better than Harrison Ford as a president of the United States with that speech alone. So I don't think he'll be president in this one. To this 20 years probably after that. The movie comes out on July 1st, 2016. So
It's going against Justice League.
And it's the 20th anniversary of the first film.
I meant to say Batman, Superman.
It's been 20 years?
Yes. So think about that, guys.
Wow.
For you guys, like us, like who can remember.
I remember release day.
That's a big Willie weekend. You guys remember that?
I think I saw it like 3 times that weekend.
Did even another movie come out the same weekend?
No, we just had a movie. Remember we used to have movies.
Men in Black and Independence Day both came out the same week. And that's what made Will Smith That took him from Fresh Prince to where he is right now.
Then he did Wild Wild West.
That came out.
They got horrible reviews. Though.
Yeah, but it was number 1. That's what Will Smith said. He said he couldn't believe that. Hey, y'all acting like y'all haven't seen the Wild Wild West.
I saw Wild Wild West like 18,000 times.
We're going straight. Let me not. Adrian, why don't you tell us about your ugly, man?
My ugly was... I saw an interview with Samuel L. Jackson where he was doing promotion for RoboCop. RoboCop is getting ready to come out, which RoboCop But a PG-13 rating is kind of like a ugly in my bad anyway.
It'll be one of ours for next week for sure.
But my ugly was the fact that the Entertainment Reporter, I forget his name, confused Samuel L. Jackson.
Sam Rubin.
KCal
9.
From KCal 9 with Lawrence Fishburne. Now, during the interview process, it was
so Sam Rubin got Samuel L. Jackson mixed up with Lawrence Fishburne.
Sam Rubin got Samuel L. Jackson mixed up with Lawrence Fishburne.
Because he commented that he was in the Kia commercial in the Super Bowl. And then everything broke loose.
And then, Sam commenced to basically pulverize this guy on his own network. And I can sympathize with that. Would be embarrassing for me if I was Samuel L. Jackson. And you're gonna confuse me.
I don't think you can embarrass Samuel L. Jackson.
No, seriously.
Though,
read his Twitter.
Seriously though.
Yeah. He's hardcore.
He's Samuel.
He's hardcore.
He's hardcore, dude.
He has all the movie roles.
And I don't think that guy's gonna recover.
Never.
Sam Rubin's not gonna recover.
That interview was. I mean, Sam Jackson kept going in on him.
Yeah.
I mean, he brought in Morgan Freeman in it.
Yeah, he was like, he named like every black actor. He was like, I'm not this guy, even though he's great.
Yeah,
I'm not this guy.
I'm not the Visa card commercial.
He was like, man.
You only hear his voice. You don't see him. I'm the Star Wars guy. Like, it was so bad.
He says that now he's the Star Wars guy.
Well, I mean,
is that his cat? Is that his top?
He's Nick Fury.
What's Real quick? Samuel L. Jackson's biggest role.
That's impossible.
Nick Fury.
No. Not his biggest role.
Nick Fury is going to be his biggest iconic role.
No, not more than Pulp Fiction.
He was huge. He was huge.
Yeah, but it was only one movie.
Yeah, but that was Pulp Fiction.
That was a movie that everybody was like, who is this guy? Already I get that. But him as Nick Fury is a legacy.
That's bigger than Mace Windu?
Yeah.
That's bigger than Mace Windu?
Yeah, he was only Mace Windu one movie.
What's bigger, Marvel or Star Wars?
In my mind, Marvel is bigger than Star Wars. In my mind,
I think
Marvel is bigger than Star Wars.
Really?
Yes, in my mind, Marvel is bigger than Star Wars.
So you think being Nick Fury and Marvel's bigger than being Mace Windu in Star Wars?
Yeah.
I can't say that.
I personally did.
And this is why. Because the Marvel Cinematic Universe is something different. Even though the Ultimate series based his look off him and so on and so forth. The thing about Star Wars is that once something happened, that happened. Like Mace Windu will always be a part. You can't reboot it. You can't retcon it. But he's always going to be that
Nick
character.
Fury is.
But without Mace Windu, there's no Emperor.
Without no Emperor, there's no balance of the Force.
Let me tell you, man.
And without
you guys are being very
nostalgic
right now. You guys are being very nostalgic right now. You guys are going off of a series that, and literally since its inception, the Marvel MCU has already caught up in the catalog of movies. And surpassed Star Wars.
No, because Star Wars has original.
But he said the catalog. Well,
I'm talking about cinema releases. I'm not talking about going into the television in the background. But cinema, Marvel's already got more movies than them.
More doesn't quantity doesn't necessarily.
How many does Marvel have? How many does Marvel have?
Let's count it.
In canon right now. In canon.
Okay, because if you're gonna go in canon, you have to say MCU, not just Marvel as a hero.
I'm saying MCU.
MCU. So you have the very first
3 Iron Mans.
Iron
One
Man.
Avengers.
One Avengers.
2 Thors.
2 Thors.
And Captain America.
Captain America.
I like counting the Incredible.
Let's say 2 Captain Americas now.
Hulk doesn't count.
No, Incredible Hulk.
No, doesn't count.
Why doesn't it?
Incredible Hulk.
Because it's not that's not the same Hulk they're going to be using in the new movies.
Yeah, it is.
Mark Ruffalo Hulk.
But okay, the Edward Norton Hulk is the same character as the Mark Ruffalo.
I'm not going to get into that.
It is.
I'm not going to egg this on because we have this conversation.
Oh my God!
But how many numbers? How many is that? Was that 8?
I can't remember, but it's
I think it's like 8 or 9. But man, see, but here's the only problem.
And then they got 2 more in the can. They have 3 more in the can.
Here's the only problem with that, though. Here's the only problem with that. You're showing these movies that came in roughly about 15 years ago, 10 years ago, and you saw all those films. Star Wars has been around since the 70s, and it's still holding fast. like extremely fast. Like we're all Star Wars
You
fans.
can't quote Avengers.
Like it's almost two different holds on it's two different holds on culture. Like Star Wars changed culture. Period. I can't say that about the Avengers. As much as I love Avengers, you know what I mean. I cannot say it about the MCU. I say it about maybe the
Maybe
comics.
you just can't see the impact now.
Maybe that's true, but I know I can't say anything along the lines of "I am your father" or "May the Force be with you." I can't think of anything like that when it comes to. Except, you want to know my secret? I'm always angry. That's the only thing I can really think that comes close to it.
That was a great line.
It was a great line, but Star Wars is literally full of those kind of lines. And Mace Windu, he had a purple lightsaber. Him and Lando are like the only black people in Star Wars. He's immortalized forever. Forever. He may convince him to write him back into the script somehow.
Just because you have a big monologue of your pro Star Wars versus Marvel, in my mind, Marvel's bigger. Now you had a good run. But
Marvel has made more money in movies though.
yeah. I don't see Star Wars even in the reboot. It's not even a reboot. Even in the continuation 7 under J.J. Abrams and all them, I don't see them making more money than Marvel's MCU. I know they're not gonna do it. I know that.
You know what? I think we may want to visit that in about 6 years. I'm interested to see like the movies that start coming out at the same time. I'm just interested.
First, I don't trust J.J. Abrams. Don't really trust him. Now, I would like to see a more darker Star Wars.
Well, it's not just gonna be him directing them, you know.
But even in Star Wars though, Samuel Jackson had a bigger role in Star Wars than he had in Marvel Universe for sure.
He handled business at the end of Attack of the Clones. Attack of the Clones is not a very good
Because
movie.
he's in 3 movies, but he's like a character in 3 movies. Like Nick Fury was like he was in Avengers.
Winter Soldier, he's a star. He's got just as much airtime as Cap and everybody.
From what it looks like,
Winter Soldier hasn't come out yet.
It comes out in 2 months.
Yeah.
Which for me is going to be the best. I in my opinion, I'm more anticipating Winter Soldier out of all comic book films for 2015, which
we'll see.
2014. I'm sorry.
I can't help but feel that Mace. I feel like
That's the biggest role that Samuel Jackson's done.
I feel like I'm almost sleeping on some roles, to be honest. Though, like I feel like he's in so much. He's the highest grossing actor. I think. Like if you look at the movies that he's in, like he's just in so many. We found some gems that he was in on Netflix. Mm-hmm. Good movies that he was in that came out last year that we never heard anything about.
Which one?
Oh man,
one where he played.
He drove around in some sick car and was almost like a devil character.
It was with Wilson.
Yeah.
I know which one you're talking
Meeting
Evil. Yeah.
He was Richie.
Just didn't know.
Was he the devil in that movie?
Was he the devil?
I don't remember. It was stupid though.
Yeah, I lost interest in it.
Man.
But he, even as Mace, he only had like 20 lines. Sorry, guys.
No.
Yeah. As Fury,
he was on the Jedi Council.
He's on the Jedi Council.
He was the one who asked them if they were sure about Anakin.
Dog, that was like 5 lines.
He led the clone troops into battle.
Okay, that was like one.
He chopped off Boba Fett's dad's
That's
head.
a huge thing. He chopped off Jango Fett's head?
Jango Fett's head.
That's a huge event.
One scene.
That's a great scene. He didn't do anything like that as Nick Fury. Honestly, they really downplayed him as Nick Fury because Nick Fury's supposed to come in with the big guns and just wreak havoc.
Well, we'll see.
And
We'll see where they go with Nick Fury on. I mean, I know he's going to be around for a while because they centered the MCU around S.H.I.E.L.D. They did.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that was
That's
kind
fine.
of...
I think that's fine, though.
Yeah, S.H.I.E.L.D. was basically the thread that tied the original Iron Man to Hulk.
What about Zeus in Die Hard? Samuel Jackson.
Oh no! I forgot about Die Hard.
Yep. He was great in that movie.
Right, so the IMDb now.
Yeah.
Your thumb will get tired. Your thumb
That
will
was a year after. That was a year.
Don't forget about Jungle Fever.
No, but he wasn't the star.
No, he wasn't. But he was.
That was just like.
I was never disputing Samuel L. Jackson as an actor.
Coming to America?
I'm just saying.
We're trying to think of his biggest one though.
Yeah.
Hold on to your butts in Jurassic Park.
Listen, I can almost guarantee you that Samuel L. Jackson as a payday will say that Nick Fury is his payday. And I would almost I could almost quote him on that, but I haven't actually heard.
Why don't you ask him on Twitter?
I will. Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury is your biggest payday, right? Yeah, I bet you'll look this up.
We should
hit us up on the Nerdiacs Facebook page, Samuel. Another one of my imaginary friends.
Just look up this with Fishburne. Ryan, what's your ugly, man?
Walking Dead. I'm tired of The Walking Dead. There's too much Walking Dead.
All right.
First of all, the comic, the stories are just regurgitated. They just keep same concept. I want to see some crazy stuff. I want to see some progress. We're on issue 120 something. That's a lot of issues. That's a lot of dedication. That's a lot of time. We're 8-9 years into this story, and we still don't know how people became zombies. We're going. No, they had their 10-year anniversary already. They had their 10-year anniversary this year, and we do not know how zombies became zombies. That's crazy. They had a fake scientist come up with some crazy stuff about how zombies, but it didn't. That wasn't the real thing. They touched on the show, but that's not no. Honestly, they haven't even talked about the CDC thing at all.
Yeah.
Well, the first season, remember, weren't they trying to find a cure?
In the comic, they haven't mentioned anything about it, but in the show,
The first season, they were trying. Remember in Atlanta? That was like their big main goal until that was.
But I'm just saying, if I was these guys in The Walking Dead at this point, I feel like I would have tried to figure out how the best way to find people instead of just roaming. You know what I mean? Like if you can get car and gas, I've seen people drive a lot on this show. Like we should be going on a road trip. You know what I mean?
And scientifically, gas doesn't last that long. Gas will no longer be valid after like a year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
You can't even
You already told the biggest part of Walking Dead when the homies roll up in a 2013 something.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
With the fresh.
They'll be in a 2015.
It hasn't been the Robin at end like for 2 years.
Hey man, those
2013.
Those GM plants are still running, man. Come on. You think Apocalypse is going to stop Detroit? Detroit was The Walking Dead before. Let me not say it. Let me just say it. I love Detroit. Let me not say it. I have family in Detroit. I can't say that.
I got family in Detroit too.
Yeah, so I'm just and then the new season premiere came out, mid-season premiere, and Adrian was talking about how it's just Carl walking, like it's just Carl. I'm like, yeah, he's good for Carl. He's not.
112. Are you kidding me? And I was like, why are you gonna try and check him for cursing in an apocalypse?
Like your kid has murdered humans. Like he's committed murder.
Yeah.
Like just straight shot people, and you're gonna get mad at him for like that's not even good banter. Like I feel like you have all this. It's a zombie apocalypse, and it's you and your son. There's so much writing that can be done on lines of. There's so much fuel that you had built up that you could have came up with a way better line than watch your mouth. Like, come on.
See, I like that line because I think in this episode there was a couple of episodes when you realize that literally, like before they used to grasp onto humanity, but now they just realize it's not going to happen. The first moment that hit me was when they were walking, and he was saying he's about to say something like everything will be okay. The line we've heard Rick say 100 times. Like he was just like everything, and then he stopped. Because you can't say anymore. You can't say everything will be okay, especially after what happened then. The second one was that part when you said, watch your mouth. Like, you see, to me at least, I felt like it was still a father still trying to treat his son as in, that's the relationship you have as a father and son. And that's not the relationship. You have two survivors. You have people who need each other. It's not that, oh, you're my child, I have to take care of you. Even though that's what Rick's struggling with.
Carl has grown past that father-son. That's why he was like, dude, I don't care if you die.
Which brings me to the third point, is a great scene when you saw him in the room of I mentioned the teenage boy's house, and you saw him get giddy for a second and look at the Xbox game, stuff like that. And you saw him look at it, and he smiled. And then you saw that realization hit.
That it was.
I will never have this life.
Yeah.
Like never.
Because he was happy when he first saw it.
He was happy when he first saw it, and then realized he needed the cables to tie that door.
The thing that pissed me off too, when he was in the house and the zombies attacking, like you've been doing this for a while. You don't know how to kill a zombie by now. Like,
that was a little bit weird. I'm like, oh, I've seen you handle that gun.
Yeah,
you used to handle just rifles from 50 yards, picking them off.
I'm just saying, I thought he would just take a book and just smash his head in or something, but he totally wussed out on it. And
I was a little bit surprised. I was surprised.
So I didn't really. His survival skills weren't convincing. The way Michonne found him at the end wasn't convincing. Like it was kind of like, She traced their tracks and she walked all the way. She walked in the forest for hours, walked all the way back to the spot where she saw the shoes, and it felt like it was just a lot of what ifs and this happened to happen and. And then he's like, "Oh, I ate 120 ounces of chocolate pudding." I'm like, "There's no possible human way."
My stomach hurt listening to him say that.
Yeah, when you say after like 3 scoops, you're done. Like
this episode was basically for me
weird.
panel for panel exactly everything that happened in the book, aside from the fact that Michonne came to the house in the show, and in the book it wasn't until later. After.
And remember the guys tried to like rape Carl in the book.
Yeah. Because this was
yeah, savages, dude. Savages.
This was afterwards.
See his face right now.
They dog, like the comic is raw, dude. It's raw, man. And you know what, man? Rick still has both his hands, dude.
What's your most raw moment in The Walking Dead?
Raw moment for me,
yeah,
was when Herschel's in the comic.
Yeah.
When Herschel's 2 twin daughters had their head cut off by the prisoner, and then like. When everybody walked in and they just saw the heads on the ground.
And they were having tea.
Yeah. And then the heads just came to life. Yeah. And they were just 2 little girls. And one of the prisoners who they were awfully trusting with when they first got to the prison. He was a freaking killer.
That was pretty crazy.
That was pretty crazy.
Yeah, I think
Rick losing his hand. Rick still has... in the show, Rick has... And I read that Kirkman regretted the fact that in the comic that Rick lost his hand.
It's hard to write around that, he said.
It is very hard to write around that and keep Rick very relevant. So in the show, I don't think he's going to lose his hand.
Yeah, me neither. I thought he was going to for a second.
Because the governor cut off his hand in the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in the comic, the governor cut off his hand.
Mine is when the governor had taken all the teeth out of his daughter. And then, for one scene randomly, he open mouth kissed his daughter, his zombie daughter. And then, like, their show pulling away, and it was like the slobber strings going. It was so gross.
It was gross. Yeah, I saw that. So you have to read the book.
Yeah, so and I think it's cool. I know that I've always said on this podcast that I'm the one who's not reading the comics of it, so I have no idea. So, like if you guys are interested in reading The Walking Dead and
now it gets real.
And you're just watching it now, you don't have to worry about spoilers or anything like that because it's literally two different things.
And it's good for the comic book readers who've been reading it because it is a totally different perspective of the show.
It's just like a retelling. Just a retelling.
But if you're a show guy, it would enhance your viewership of the show a lot better. Or it might make it a little bit more critical.
Yeah. I never know.
That's a good ugly.
So are we done with uglies?
Well, my ugly, just to wrap up, is
are you here, Theo? Theo,
it's not my day. It's not my day today, guys. I guess let's go home. So my ugly is actually the Sonic the Hedgehog redesigns. This came out a couple of weeks ago, and I hate using the term taking a so-and-so community by storm, but really, like a lot of the gaming community has been very vocal about this. Some love them, some hate them. Sonic, along with Tails, Knuckles, and Amy, are in a new game called Sonic Boom, and they've redesigned all the characters. They gave Tails more of a almost mechanic look to it. They gave him some goggles, like he gets like a vest, something like that from what I've seen, which is kind of cool because like in Sonic and the Sonic Adventure, Sonic and Tails, so you often saw him with the plane, so it's not that far fetched. Amy, they gave her a little bit longer legs, which they extended in Knuckles and Sonic as well, like these very long, slender legs. But she still has the hammer, so that's pretty familiar. Knuckles has a very big change. They made him now the tallest of the group, which a lot of people didn't like, But to me, Knuckles is my favorite character in the Sonic games. I will always try to play him. I love Sonic Advance. That's like my favorite game for the Game Boy Advance system. But before, even when like playing on the Sega handheld, the Game Gear, you guys remember those fatties taking up 6 AA batteries for 30 minutes of life. He almost had the same mold as Sonic, like they were both the exact same size and stuff like that, except that Sonic's hair spiked, and Knuckles had the dreads, the red dreads, and he had, the gloves and could glide. With this one now, he's a lot brawlier. I mean, like, he doesn't really have a neck now. His arms and shoulders are very broad. He's got like this sweet boxer like wrapping tape around like his hands. Like, I really like this Knuckles look.
So why is it you're ugly?
Because Sonic, on the other hand, I just do not like what they did with Sonic. They gave him like these super long runny legs.
Bring up a picture.
They let me see if I can pull a picture. Oh, I don't. I'm not on Ryan's Wi-Fi here.
Oh, okay.
We may have to pull up on one of our phones or something like that. But like, I just was not feeling it. I felt like that redesign was almost unnecessary. Like, why does Sonic have this masking tape around his shoes and
Sports
feet?
tape.
Sports tape.
He's athletic.
Does not make sense. He runs fast. Why would he have tape on his shoes? You know what I mean?
He has those corners. They keep his shoes together.
He runs so fast. That's like, it just, that design did not make a lot of sense to me. And it really bothered me for some reason. I try not to get like too worked up over these redesigns. I really like the other ones, but to me, it would have just made more sense just to kind of keep Sonic, maybe a bit smaller. I don't need him to have like these long, dangly legs and stuff like that.
Is it them?
Yeah, that's the new ones. Yeah, okay. I'm not feeling it. So that's why it's my ugly. I think everything is great, but seeing that the game looks awesome from what I've seen. The gameplay, not the gameplay, but just the trailer stuff. Trailer looks great. I'm excited to see it. It's gonna be, I think, on. I'll see the Wii U.
Old school.
I played Sonic Colors. Sonic Colors for DS.
No, there's a 3D. Is it coming out for the 3DS?
It's gonna be up for this one. Sonic Boom's coming out for 3DS and Wii U. Yeah, I'll get it.
Play with me?
Always and forever.
How's your Pokemon going?
Still on Kingdom Hearts, man. I'm on that Tron level. I'm on that between Tron and Hunchback. That dream drop distance. It's getting me. But yeah, guys. So that
go
runs
to our topic.
That's on to the topic. We got a doozy for you guys. For you guys listening. There's been a lot of talk between Fox, and we've hinted on this with Donald Glover before, stuff like that. We're going to talk about rebranding established characters in the superhero universe, rebranding their gender and or race. Is it ever appropriate? When are you allowed to do that? When are you not allowed to do that? And just to kind of set like a backstory for this, recently Fox and their Fantastic Four in particular, they've already said that the Human Torch looks like it might be Michael B. Jordan, which is a black guy. Very good actor, but he is a black guy as Human Torch. But now they're saying that there's a possible woman interviewing for Doctor Doom. So that's kind of where we kind of got interesting about this topic. So
Lady Von Doom.
Yeah.
So you guys look very opinionated.
It's ridiculous. I mean, first of all, like Doom is by far, as far as villains and respectable levels of villains in the Marvel Universe, Doom is up there. People respect Doom as a villain. And even as, in a lot of reasons...
He's even been known to say, like, why would I want to take over the world?
Yeah, he's a good anti-hero, too.
Right.
So, why would you make... he's not somebody that you can change like that. Johnny Storm and the Reed family and the Storm family are not characters that you could change like that. There are certain characters that you could probably pull it off, but most of them would have to be secondary characters that you could probably easily rebrand in the comic book without causing too much of a stir.
Could you name anyone off the top of your head that would be like a character like that?
I'd say Tony Stark.
Really?
Yeah.
You think you can make Tony Stark black?
I mean, well, I think another...
Asian?
I think because what makes Tony Stark is his personality and a lot of... I mean, obviously he's in the suit, first of all, so I think that...
It's like Batman. Batman could be any race.
I think Batman could be... I think Batman...
I think he could be Asian.
I think it would be a bit tougher to change him more than Tony Stark. But, if you talk about, like, just... For me, at least, if you talk about, like, just somebody wealthy or something like that, like, he's really, like, just a jerk character. So, like... Well, wait, didn't they play around with the idea, at least, like, for first issue or something like that, like that he had some Hispanic heritage or something like that. I think
Well,
they
he
knew
does
what.
have Hispanic heritage.
Okay, so yeah,
Tony Stark does have Spanish.
So you could
heritage,
see him. Let's say if Tony Stark was like an Italian guy.
Yeah,
Like
that is not far fetched.
It's not too far
A
fetched.
character for me would be Lex Luthor. I think that you could technically, if you kind of go with the aspect of what they're not doing, because in the new movie they're trying to say that there's some previous history between Clark and Lex, but if you go with just that Luthor was a businessman, and even if you look at the animated series, Luthor doesn't look like he might be.
He looked like a brother a bit.
He looked like he might be black.
He looked like he was a
So
brother.
you could pull off Lex Luthor as a different
Could
race
be a
of
Middle Eastern
character.
dude.
Huh?
Could be Middle Eastern,
He could be.
like a Saudi, like a big Saudi rich dude.
Because I think the backstory is interesting for Lex Luthor no matter how you look at it. If he's like a Saudi dude, he can look like this American figure, you know what I mean? Trying to
His
take
name
over.
would be Luthor.
No, I'm sorry. When I say American figure, I mean like more like the Superman butting heads of that, you know what I mean? I think I can see Lex Luthor, I could see that.
I think Batman could change his race easily. I think he could be Asian because if you put rich Asian owns a tech company, I feel like that still fits. I don't think he could be a black guy. I think he could be a Spanish dude.
So you say you don't think he could be a black guy?
No.
Why is that?
Just because he already works. I just think the colors would not be good. I don't know. Black with
That's actually,
black with a black face.
So to be honest, that
like
actually visually that's a good point. I'm not gonna lie. Like visually, I think that's an interesting point.
Yeah.
Because you don't think about that. That's a point.
Yeah. So I think
Well, technically, T'Challa, Black Panther, is Bruce Wayne. Technically,
pretty much. Yeah. I would say he's probably cooler than Bruce Wayne because he's a king.
They definitely crafted. He's
I'm
not
more
in the
of-
shadow at all.
I'm more of
he's
a-
not. No, T'Challa is not in the shadow.
If you're royalty, I feel like that trumps pretty much any type of billionaire. Yes. If you have power over, if you have say over a whole country and and you have the most tech in the world, like, I think you win.
I think Black Panther.
You think the tip could be black?
Versus question: who would win in a fist fight, Black Panther or Batman?
Black Panther's beating Captain America.
Black Panther or Batman?
I don't think Batman could be Batman could be Captain America though. I really don't think he could.
You don't think? No, Batman can't beat Captain
I
America.
thought that's what you said.
But Black Panther has
You
beaten
think Batman
Captain
can beat
America.
Black Panther?
No.
Because I know there's always that bit of that supernatural thing with Black Panther. Like even if it's not always touched upon a lot, like I know it's hand in hand.
He's got a power. He's got
like,
power of the Panther.
Like and every time I feel like something like that comes up, I feel like Batman's. It's just Batman is a world-class man.
Yeah.
Versus something that's out of his league. You know what I mean? So I think it would. I would say Black Panther. I would say Black Panther in the long run. I don't think it'll be an easy fight.
Who would you pick as like your fighting mate or teammate, Batman or Black Panther?
How much time do I have?
T'Challa is up there with Reed Richards in intelligence. He's up there with Reed Richards, Tony Stark. You never really.
Batman leads the Justice League though.
You know that Bruce Wayne is a genius, right?
Yeah.
But you never hear about how much of his genius he is. I mean, you see his.
No one knows him really.
Nobody knows him.
The Batman.
But even he doesn't even create his own tech. He relies on Lucius Fox to create a lot of his tech.
But he can, though.
But he can, and he can improve on tech. But you never see him act the actual innovator.
So wait a second here. Are we coming to the conclusion that Black Panther's a better superhero than Batman?
Yeah, I would say that on paper, not legacy, on actual paper, I've read where T'Challa, Black Panther, went hand to hand with Steve Rogers, beat him. So if technically Steve Rogers is a more enhanced human than Batman.
That's interesting though because Cap's taking out Spider-Man.
I've never seen that.
It happened in Civil War.
I remember Spider-Man getting the better of him on that one.
Well, no. I just remember in Civil War. Technically, that's
Civil War
that
issue number three.
situation. That
I've
situation
never
was a
seen
bit
it
different
issue
though,
number three.
because he was told to bring him in, and he already did not want to bring him in. Okay,
I've never seen another hero beat up Spider-Man.
Well,
Ever.
it wasn't really so much a beat up. It was just like you were really seeing Cap work. But I digress. So let's take it a bit too far away from that. That's a different type.
So let's get a conclusion here. When is it okay and when is it not okay? Do you think it's okay if it fits the story, and it's not okay if it changes like too many things, like where it's like in like the Fantastic Four, it's like okay, now we're changing a whole family and changing a whole origin.
Here's the thing. I'm a bit torn, and this is why, because I feel like the thing about superhero characters, the thing that makes them survive is like their mythos. It's not so much the person. It's just like this character. As in, if Captain America, and they decided to rebrand Captain America, I think they had like a what if story or something like that, like from the Tuskegee experiment or something like that, and he was a black guy. I feel like if he still starts for the true Justice American way, all that stuff, it doesn't really change it so much. I don't have a problem with that. But at the same time, you do have to respect that kind of stuff.
Okay, I have a question. Terry McGinnis, Batman Beyond, or Bruce Wayne, Batman?
Like personally, who do I like more? Oh, I'm a Terry guy. I think Terry's actually.
So you like Terry McGinnis Batman more than Bruce Wayne?
I do.
I feel like a lot of people feel that way too.
So I've never known this.
Yeah.
You guys actually like Batman Beyond, Terry McGinnis as Batman.
I personally
do. Is it because he's more of a novice
Maybe
and he's
like,
learning?
I think it's more than one of those like Spider-Man things again.
Yeah, it was more of a Spider-Man thing.
He's
right?
kind of. I can kind of relate to him. He was younger. He's cool. He had the girlfriend.
I mean, because Batman was him, like his trainer. You know what I mean? So like there was that aspect as well.
I liked Terry McGinnis because he was a natural fighter. Because even before he was trained by Bruce Wayne,
he was nice.
He was nice.
He was nice. He was nice.
He was very nice.
Like he didn't have to learn that thing.
It was very easy for him to take. And I think the best Batman Beyond I saw was the one where I know we're not deviating, but the reason why I'm liking the Terry McGinnis because it's almost like you're taking an iconic character and putting somebody else in that role.
Yeah.
That's why I brought up the Terry McGinnis Batman and why I'm shocked that you guys actually say Terry McGinnis is a better Batman. But that fits.
Well, but then again, I know Ryan feels differently than this, but we talk about like the Donald Glover thing. I wouldn't have a problem seeing a different person portraying Spider-Man in the movie. Because I feel like if you're revamping, to me personally, I don't mind that so much.
I think I'd be okay with that if they didn't call him Peter Parker.
Well, it would have to be the Miles Morales because for me,
it could be. I think it could be any name.
The Miles Morales Spider-Man is a valid Spider-Man.
Let's talk about the Peter Parker one because I feel like obviously very mainstream. People know Peter Parker, Spider-Man. Yeah. That's who Andrew Garfield's playing. That's who McGuire was playing.
But in the Ultimate Universe, Miles Morales.
In the Ultimate Universe,
and he's good.
Yeah, but as Peter Parker, both of you guys, he has to be white male.
If he's Peter Parker,
or he has to be Ottawa TVs. Superior.
But if they're gonna be Spider-Man and they want to do a different Spider-Man, a different race, they change the name. And I think if you do Fantastic Four and you make a female Dr. Doom and you change the race of Johnny and make him not brother and sister for real, and then make Reed younger and just call it a different movie. Just make it something completely different because it's no longer what.
But why not though?
Because it's not.
No, but there obviously has to be more to it than just.
Because it's just like say we're gonna go watch the Mickey Mouse movie and it's like
Mickey Mouse is a dog.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's
called Mickey Mouse, but it's not a mouse anymore.
You feel like for you, Peter Parker, Caucasian guy, and Spider-Man mask are one and the same. Like one.
No, I'm just saying Peter Parker's Peter Parker.
I'll give you.
You can't change, like Theo Brown, tall black man. There cannot be another version of. If you did a story about Theo Brown, you cannot make.
I'll tell you who they can change. They can change Frank Castle the Punisher and make him black. I can see it. Frank Castle.
So why is that though? Why are we? Is because he's not as iconic as Spider-Man?
Well, because like in Spider-Man and like being Peter Parker, it was about a white kid growing up in New York and being the minority. He was the minority. And
how important was it being white? I'm just curious. How important was it being white
in that story? Because it showed him being a minority in his thing and showing him being a little bit quote unquote weaker compared to his surroundings and stuff, and it's a little white kid, getting picked on, more or less in New York. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Now, if
there's a lot of white people
in the '60s. If you did a little black kid, it might not have worked the same. You might have got different tones. There might have been different feelings about when you're reading about him getting picked on. You know what I mean? And so I think when you see a little white kid getting picked on, everyone can kind of relate to him a little more, even if you're black, Mexican, Asian, or whatever. But if his name is Peter Parker and he came out as white, that's who Peter Parker is.
In the
You
same
just
way
can't
with
just
Reed
change.
Reed and Sue and
Yeah,
Johnny.
just change the names in. If you're gonna call it Fantastic Four, don't make it Johnny Storm anymore. Make it something else and then call it Fantastic Four.
See, it's like
And that would suck.
I think there's very few characters. Okay, I want to say very few, but like I think that like Luke Cage, for instance, I think it would be very hard for him to not be a minority character that's found in those type of things. Like I can see him being Hispanic.
Black Panther.
Well, obviously Black Panther. Like I can see him being Hispanic. Possibly because you can see that coming from that inner city thing. You know what I mean? Or black, but I think it would be a hard time
for
me
hire
see.
Luke Cage. I mean, the Afro, the whole.
But also I'm kind of thinking like if they were completely rebranding it like now, you know what I mean? Like they're saying like.
Wait to that
but-
Netflix thing. Talking about it right now, I can't wait for that.
But like I'm also thinking like
like Daredevil, he has to be white
He has to be.
because he's a white lawyer
See, well, that's
in New
interesting.
York.
That's interesting because I think I kind of agree with that because I do feel like the lawyer aspect of it carries a bit more weight. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But like I personally feel about Spider-Man, I mean, even though you brought up like good points like that, like just like the fact like if you're raised up and stuff like that, I almost feel like the idea of a teenager getting bullied like that, that's a universal trait for all teenagers, period. Not necessarily a white one growing up.
So I always think it's because like even like for my dad grew up in Inglewood, and he was the white boy in Inglewood, and he said it was very hard for him being the minority in that situation. So I think that's why he connects with Peter Parker too, because it was pretty much the same thing. So I just think you can't compare that.
See, I guess I always just assumed it was more like what his interests were. You know what I mean? He was not a jock.
Exactly.
So that thing, which isn't really a color thing. You know what I mean? You can go to different parts of the city, like a big city, it can be black jocks, Hispanic jocks, white jocks, etc., etc. If you're into more of the science and tech stuff like that, you're automatically.
But in the '60s, though, black guy was always playing the sports guy.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is like now. That's what I'm saying. I'm thinking like now. Like if this movie came out now,
right?
I wouldn't have a problem
I just don't think
imagining
you
that.
can do it. It's just like making Great Gatsby all black characters. Like you can't just like boom, like you know what I mean? Like,
It's just hard to pull it off because you have the fanboys who are just gonna automatically just be like
trash.
And believe me, that has an impact. I mean,
of course it does.
You gotta think if there's a complete and total fan
Of course it does.
reaction to something, it's gonna make people.
Spider-Man 3 had that. We want Venom. We want Venom. We want Venom. Yeah. No. Of course it does.
Now, even though there was a lot of negative reaction to the Ben Affleck Batman, I think there was a lot of just people just not really understanding.
even though that's what it was, exactly what it was reacting. It wasn't.
Yeah.
I think everyone's kind of like okay.
Because now when you put like, if I believe that when you see him in the suit, it's gonna make all the difference.
Well, I feel like that was a bit different because going back to the Spider-Man thing, I feel because that was like probably the most recent big one that did not come to fruition. Donald Glover is nowhere near the caliber or magnitude of star that Ben Affleck is.
No.
Like you can afford to take that risk, I think, with Ben Affleck versus a Donald Glover. And also to say, like, we don't know if Donald Glover's even in the running to begin with. I mean, it started like as a fan rumor and it ended as a fan rumor. Like, we don't know if Sony was ever in the picture like that. Like, this is just all hypothetical.
Andrew Garfield Spider-Man
stuff.
for the near future, because I don't think Andrew Garfield's going to give that role up anytime soon.
No.
Especially with the way that they're building around.
He wants to be Spider-Man.
He wants to be Spider-Man.
What about any of the X-Men? Do you think you guys see any of the X-Men getting their color changed?
I think Wolverine could be black.
Professor
Actually, no, he's
Xavier.
Canadian.
You see Professor Xavier?
I think Professor Xavier could be a black guy. I think someone. I liken Professor Xavier to somebody like the
I think
character of
Professor Xavier
Morpheus
being
from.
black would actually make more sense.
Well, I liken Professor
Honestly.
Xavier to somebody like Morpheus.
Kind of can sympathize with people being the outsiders and having to deal with people always judging you, especially in the '60s. When the characters
during the Civil Rights.
I actually think, and maybe it's the way they do bald characters too.
Well, now that I think about it, there aren't really a lot of iconic female superheroes. DC, you really only got Wonder Woman, really, as an iconic. They're trying to build up Supergirl.
That's a good one though.
Sure.
It's a big one.
But Marvel really doesn't have any, and the ones that that are iconic superheroes, they're all mutants. Because if you think,
God.
huh?
Storm's basically.
Let's think. What other than a mutant, other than She-Hulk,
Okay, yeah.
and maybe Captain Marvel, what other hardcore female powerhouses?
I can't say
are?
other than Captain Marvel because Captain Marvel is.
Yeah, she's up there.
But iconic though.
Yeah.
None.
But
Dude,
Storm's iconic.
Yeah,
Jean
Storm.
Grey's iconic.
Yeah.
I have to say Rogue is iconic.
Yeah.
Rogue is an iconic.
Well, the
character.
X-Men themselves are iconic.
But
so
those, I'm talking about just for females.
Sure.
Sue Storm. Fantastic Four.
I feel like she's iconic now
Invisible Woman.
because they always remind you that she exists.
They've never seen her. You've never seen her cut loose.
Yeah.
They downplay.
Mary
her.
Jane.
She's not a hero.
Doesn't matter.
She's iconic,
She's
though.
huge though. I think she's probably the biggest female star in Marvel, honestly.
Okay.
I think Mary Jane beats everyone because of that name.
I don't think that's a person I don't think you can really change. You can change their race just because I think the red hair is so ingrained into her, like it is her character. I would
Yeah.
say, like I feel like you couldn't do that with her. What about Wonder Woman?
What about her? She's amazing.
You can make her Puerto Rican. Wonder Woman.
I never really thought of her as a Caucasian woman, to be honest.
No, she's
She's a god. She's a Greek god. You can't.
Wonder Woman.
Well, Greeks aren't necessarily Caucasian.
They could be dark.
They're not from the.
But it's
Caucasus.
all coming. They're all the same
Mountains.
color. They all have to be. Then the whole tribe would have to be the same.
But I guess what I mean is that Caucasians kind of from like the Caucasus.
I would say that
It's more
Wonder
Greek
Woman could come
olive
across
color.
as like a
I would say
a
no.
dominant, almost Latino, but lighter complexion
In a movie,
Latino
I would say no. I would say she'd have to be white.
Really.
with dark hair
Or
and
Greek-ish.
What's
Or Italian.
What's the girl's name? The woman's name? I know she's in Firefly. She's in tons of sci-fi
Black
stuff.
girl, black lady.
Like light skinned lady.
Yeah,
I would say no.
She was very strongly lobbied to be Wonder Woman. In this
I
movie.
think you could pull Wonder Woman off.
I agree.
I think
you
Wonder
could.
Woman. If you go with the warrior Wonder Woman and not like the television,
Not like the failed pilot. Wonder
yeah,
Woman.
but you have to go with more like how you put, like for instance in Superman Wonder Woman the series now,
Uh-huh.
Wonder Woman is. Did you read the latest one?
No.
Dude, Wonder Woman handed Zod and Zorella handed it to him because they were beating up Superman, and Wonder Woman came in and just.
What's her
Handles
what's her physical type like in that one? Is she?
Dude, she's power. She's an up there power level dog. She's,
Well, I mean, like looks wise. I mean, like, is she leaning more toward the Linda Carter Wonder Woman, or is she more like a?
I mean, for me, when I see the
apparently Julie Strain, the B-movie's queen from the 80s, thinks she looks like her because Julie Strain comes into my store all the time and buys hundreds of copies of it. And
I just-
sells them on our website
the dark hair,
because she says that DC's using her likeness.
the dark hair and the bigger
look
structure of
at
Wonder
Julie Strain,
Woman leads me to look at a more of an ethnic person more than a Caucasian person. Only because when I think of Amazon women or beautiful Amazon women, I think of women that are tall
Yeah.
and imposing,
Yeah.
but still beautiful.
Yeah.
Like there's this girl at my 24-hour fitness, and I don't know if she's white. I mean, she might have a little bit of Hispanic in her, but she's got dark hair, and she's not muscular like bulging cut up, but she's big, like beautiful, like voluptuous. And I call her Wonder Woman all the time. Dude.
Well, I'm gonna say I think it's interesting to hear what you said. I know. I mean, this was a couple of episodes ago when the casting of a gal. I'm forgetting her last name. Yeah,
Gal Gadot.
when the casting of her came out, and remember. I don't remember what exactly we all said about it, but they said like her structure is it's a lot leaner. It's a lot leaner, and they should have put a lot of stuff. But you're just right.
Talking about her boobs, though. Wonder Woman doesn't really have that much boobs.
Well, no,
honestly.
I'm not necessarily talking about that. I'm just saying more just like structure overall, because you do tend to find, when I think of Amazonian, I'm thinking of like someone, who's like almost like a soccer player, right? An athlete. I think that's what I said. Like just like
an athlete female.
They might be going more.
Gina Carrero.
They could go more
name?
towards her being godlike, so they could show her being smaller, but just having this incredible strength without.
They could go for that too as well. That you don't need.
I just don't. I don't believe. I wouldn't believe it as much because I wouldn't believe it
if Superman was.
if Superman were like that. I think that the way that they made Henry Cavill physically look in that movie was able to pull off the feats of strength that Superman was able to do. You know what I mean? That's why, like, even in all these superhero movies that are coming out right now, I think they have to get cut up because that cut up and that physical structure is a believable factor for the
I would say
families.
with the only exception of Spider-Man, because that's kind of his thing.
Well, Tobey Maguire was cut up.
Tobey Maguire was cut up. Andrew Garfield isn't so much. Like,
Andrew Garfield
like,
is
he's
actually
still
the more original conception of Spider-Man.
But he's still, you know, if you look at him, like, he's still no joke. But yeah, he's definitely...
He's the original skinny, lanky conception that Stan Lee.
He's not Christian Bale and Batman.
Sure. Yeah. Well, guys, we went a little bit over today.
That's cool.
But we got a lot in.
It's a big subject.
Yeah.
It's a big subject.
Yeah.
And it was great coming to the new house, doing it here. I don't know if you guys can hear the sound.
Yeah, it's a little bit different this time, but we'll work it out. So, this is Ryan from Ryan's Comics, the Nerdiac Podcast.
This is Adrian, Prophet Alpha, Nerdiac,
Wolverine. And this is Just Theo. We're signing off.
Alright, guys.
Peace.